Hey Foundry, it's Wednesday night and I hope that you are doing well. And tonight we're going to dig back into reasons to believe. I really think this is a critical issue because, as I've said in the past, and I continue to say and will say for a long time, if you don't have a reason to believe, then you're going to have reasons to doubt. And when you have reasons to doubt, you're going to drift and it won't be a good thing. Because when you leave your anchor, you'll go any direction. So one of the things I've been wanting to and have been trying to give to you over the last several weeks are some real good reasons for your faith. Your faith should be reasonable. Now, can we prove God's existence and what Jesus did and who he is beyond a shadow of a doubt? No, we can't. No religion can do that. And science can only do so much. Science can tell you what is or what is not, but it cannot tell you why it is what it is. So tonight we're going to mix a little bit of both of those, some science and some reason, into the discussion of a reason to believe as we look at a number of things. Now, it was so, as I was preparing this, the information that I have is good stuff, but it's a little complicated. And here's what I need you to do. I need you to think. Now, you've been thinking all day. You've probably been doing schoolwork and other things, and you're tired, and it's like, do I really have to listen to this? Yeah, you do. You have to listen to this, okay? I really want you to, because it's important for your growth as a believer. Or if you're not a believer at this point, it's something for you to consider, because becoming a believer is not a blind leap in the dark. There are reasons for your faith. So if you're not a believer, you're still a skeptic, you're still trying to figure out what you believe or if you believe, I hope tonight, along with some of the other discussions we've been sharing, will make you doubt your doubts. That's very critical for you to do that in order to take the right steps. For those of us that are believers, and we have made a commitment, the world questions us, and we need to have answers, and they deserve answers. So, what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to divide tonight into 2 nights. So next Wednesday, I'll complete this discussion as we're talking about reasons to believe in scientific terms, really, and some philosophical terms as well. I hope it will be helpful to you. And again, you have to think with me. I would ask you, if you have questions, please send them to me. I'll do my best to answer the questions that you might have for that. This starts off, I think a good way of starting this off are some things that you may have heard or heard questions concerning our beliefs. And it might be, well, I believe in science, not fairy tales. Or, I live by facts, not faith. Or, kind of relating it to 9/11, science flies you to the moon, religion flies you into buildings. Ooh, that's a pretty tough one. So the whole essence of those statements are, the whole essence is, I don't believe in religion. Religion is for dummies. I believe in facts and figures and stuff. Oh, great. I hope that you do. I hope that you do. Because in your facts and figures, it's incredibly important for you to, hey, if you hear all kinds of kitchen noises here, I'm in the kitchen, and the washer's going, and Brenda is cutting up supper, and she's laughing at me. It's so good. This is good. If I lose my train of thought, you'll understand. It's rough around here, I'll tell you. Just like it's where you are. It's kind of like, how do I get this stuff done? Yeah, I understand. Trust me, I really understand. So anyway, if you believe in science, great. I want you to. But science does not dispute what we believe. In fact, it actually gives us some ammunition about what we believe. So, in fact, here's the verse from Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God. The sky above proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours out speech, and night to night reveals knowledge. And so the psalmist is saying that the universe around us is proclaiming who God is. So let's get into it. First word we're going to look at is cosmology. It has nothing to do with your makeup, all right? It's not cosmetology, it's cosmology. It means the study of the cosmos or of the universe. And it is a very important step in why we believe things. This starts out with a syllogism. Do you know what a syllogism is? It's a way of rationally trying to define things. If this is this and that is that, then this is that. If A equals B and B equals A, then A equals, and B equals C, then A equals C. That's a syllogism. Now, it is important that you have a syllogism that makes sense. It has to have truth in it, or it will not be a true syllogism or one that will reflect truth. So, here's a syllogism that they provide. Men are mortal. Men are mortal. 2, Socrates, the great philosopher Socrates, is a man. 3, therefore, Socrates is mortal. You see, A equals B, B equals C, therefore A equals C. That's the syllogism. So, it's pretty simple, but it's very important. It's so simple that my notes just left me. There they are. They like to disappear every once in a while. Your notes disappear? Yeah, mine do occasionally as well. So, here is the syllogism that they use in cosmology, in understanding the cosmos and what it means to us. Here it is. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. It has to come from somewhere. Number 2, the universe began to exist. It's making a statement, and you have to prove that statement to some degree, and it will do that. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. 3, therefore, the universe has a cause. A equals B, B equals C, therefore A equals C. Sounds simple, but it is a very powerful argument for God's existence, or at least an existence of a power that is beyond us. So, let's break it down. Stay with me. Let's see what happens. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. That's the number 1 statement. Should be an obvious thing, right? Things that came into existence don't just come there out of nothing and out of nowhere. In other words, we don't observe something that just boop, pops out of nowhere. If it did, then this would be an illogical and untrue statement. Does a car magically appear in the driveway of your house? No, it doesn't happen. Do you look in your wallet and say, I've got $500 there? It magically appeared? No, it does not. We do not see anything in a scientific world where something exists without a reason for it to exist. There is a cause. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. That's a scientific proof. An existence has to have a cause. Second is this: the universe began to exist. Now, the first one makes sense. I don't think any science would diffuse that or defeat that, because in all of our scientific experiments, something does not exist without it first having a reason to get there. But the second one is a little more difficult. We say, well, the universe began to exist. According to modern cosmology, the universe, now get this, the universe has not been here forever. It has a beginning sometime in the past. Now, if you ever heard of Carl Sagan, he was a scientist that had a lot of things on PBS. I think it was called The Universe, in fact. But basically, if you listen to him, he would purport that the universe is eternal. It exists forever. We say that God exists outside the universe forever. He did not believe in God. And as an atheist, he would say, well, we believe that the universe exists forever. Now, there's a problem with that. There is a problem with that. And so let's look at a couple of problems if you say that the world exists forever, and we say it had a beginning. Why do we say that? Well, one is called the Big Bang theory or the Big Bang cosmology. A long time ago, early 20th century, almost a century ago, in fact, scientists discovered that the universe was expanding. Einstein had a lot to do with this, theory of relativity and other things. And they said that the universe can be measured. It is moving further and further apart. Now, that's interesting. The idea is, if you could kind of, on a video, hit the rewind button and see it coming together, it would logically get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer until finally it was one thing. That's why we call it the Big Bang. We believe, and man, there's a lot of great stuff out there. You can look at it. Scientists that have no belief in God whatsoever, okay? These are not Christian scientists. These are scientists that doubt the existence of God completely. However, they would say, we believe that at some point there was a huge explosion that was beyond anything we could ever experience today. And the end result is that it's been moving systematically apart. The second part of that, again scientifically, is something that was called the second law of thermodynamics, a very important law. And that second law of thermodynamics is that energy begins to leave. Once it comes on, it begins to dissipate. Now, if we relate that to the universe, you have to think a little bit. As I was reading this, I'm thinking, okay, that makes sense. You know, the universe, if it were eternal, in a physical world that has a second law of thermodynamics, I'm having trouble saying it, thermodynamics, in a physical world that has that second law, then the result would be in a forever universe, the universe should be dead. You see, the second law of thermodynamics is that the universe is slowly but surely dying, growing colder. Scientists have said somewhere in the future, some 90 million years from now, some crazy amount of years, but some point in the future that the sun will cease to exist. There are other stars that cease to exist. We see this already. The universe is slowly running out of fuel. Think of it this way. If you have a car with a full tank of gas and you turn the car on and let it idle in your driveway, at some point it will cease to run. Because why? It's run out of fuel. Now, think of this now, you have to think hard. If a forever universe, an eternal universe, existed in a world of practical science where there is the law of thermodynamics, where everything runs out of fuel, the universe should have run out of fuel a long time ago. Why? Because it's been running. It's got to end sometime. And it's been running for eternity. It should have gone out of fuel an eternity ago. I mean, it shouldn't be in existence because it can't in a physical world that has this second law of thermodynamics. But it's expanding, and if it's cooling down, that means it infers that there had to be a beginning. And we're still running on the fuel from that Big Bang beginning. Does that make sense? Makes sense to me. But there's another reason. My notes just left me again. Hold on just a minute. I don't know why it disappears. It must get tired. You know what happens to me? I hibernate occasionally. Come on. Come back. Come back to me notes. Because the next one is crazy. I think I can do it without my notes if it doesn't appear. And there they go. It's back. All right. Big Bang. A universe has a beginning. There's another. Now this gets. Here's your mind. There is a philosophical reason. Those are two scientific reasons. There is a philosophical reason, all right? You got this? Are you ready? Do you remember when you were a kid and learning about numbers and you tried to count to infinity? And unless you went 999 infinity, that didn't count. If you tried to count to infinity, you would be very discouraged because you can't. Think of the largest number you can possibly imagine and add 1 to it. You see? It's not possible. Numbers keep on going. There is nothing that you can do to come to infinite, the end of infinity, because there's always add something else. But, now here's where you have to start thinking. If you go backwards into negative numbers, right? Go backwards into negative numbers. It's the same problem. You can keep going and think of as many negative numbers as possible, and you subtract one more and you got more negative numbers. You with me so far? So if the universe is forever and eternal, then you can't go back enough to start anything. Let me give you this illustration. Let's say I've got 100 dominoes in a row. Got 100 dominoes in a row. And the last domino is painted red. It's just sitting there by itself. What do I have to do to make it move? I got to go back to number 1 and boop, and then pop. And there you go. Let's say that red domino is you. There had to be a beginning somewhere way back. And keep on going back before you and I existed, before the world existed. There had to be a beginning. You see, if it was a negative, it would never have started. It has to start somewhere in order to end somewhere. Philosophically, that's called infinite regress. You cannot go back far enough and start something. You got to start somewhere. And when that is happening, that's no longer infinity, that's a beginning. And if the world has a beginning, then guess what? It's not infinite. It's not eternal. It had a beginning. Therefore, remember what our syllogism was? Let me go back and review it again. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. It doesn't just go pop. And secondly, the universe began to exist. I have tried to prove that to you, scientifically and philosophically. The third one is, therefore, the universe has a cause, a reason, a purpose. All right, now I'm going to stop there because next week we're going to pick up on that last one. The universe has a cause. I want you to think on these first two. You may need to go back, rewind this, play it again. You may say, Larry, I am lost. Help me out. That's great. I get lost in this stuff too, but I hope it's clear enough as you begin to see there's some reasons to doubt your doubts. Someone says, well, I believe in science. Well, guess what? Science begins to show us there's something about the beginning of this world. And if that's the case, then we got to say it didn't begin by itself, that there has to be someone, something that began it, a cause. And that's what we'll talk about next week. Okay? Hey, thanks for thinking along with me tonight. Why do we do this? So that we give you some ammunition, some hope, and some words to strengthen you in your faith. When someone makes you doubt, I want you to have, okay, but go there. Don't just say, well, I learned in Sunday school, I went to church, I heard about it all my life, the Bible says it. Got to have some reasons. And these are some powerful reasons, okay? Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Hang out. Talk about what you did and how you survived. Let's get together soon. And I'll get together with you next Wednesday night here on The Foundry. See you then, guys. Stay safe.